Hello and welcome to DataSunrise demo. This demo is dedicated to a DataSunrise feature called the Compliance Manager. Why to use the Compliance Manager? This feature is dedicated to help you identify your sensitive information and to build the entire policy, which consists of audit, dynamic masking, and security rules. Well, there are several standards DataSunrise provides you with. For example, there is a GDPR for the European Union and the PCI DSS security standard and many others. They can help you in identifying sensitive information in different database engine types. Now, let's create an item in the Compliance Manager. It will be the configuration. I'm going to add a new compliance. And I'll set a name like CM01, okay, and it will be the Postgres SQL database instance, okay. So it's very important to know that I've already provided all the credentials required to my database instance, and this database user and the password that's saved in my PostgreSQL configuration, right? And it means that I will use these credentials to access sensitive information in my database instance, right? And why it is required? Because the part of the Compliance Manager is the sensitive data discovery process. It will discover sensitive information, and then it will do that periodically in the future, and also it will provide us information with the items we need to protect in our database instance, okay? So additionally, like in the sensitive data discovery tasks, we can exclude, for example, some database objects like columns, tables, and so on. And also we can explicitly tell to the Compliance Manager configuration that we're going to search for the sensitive data in the specific database or schema and so on. But if we don't know where our sensitive information is located, then we can leave it as it is. For example, by default, DataSunrise will be searching for sensitive information across all database instances, all schemas, tables, and so on, right? And the default strategy here is that to select top rows, like it's set here, 100 rows only will be fetched from each table accessible by this database user. And DataSunrise will try to match only the first filter for each column, right, matched. And the 90% is a percentage of match, which is expected to tell the DataSunrise, okay, this is sensitive information, we have to process it as a sensitive item. DataSunrise is capable to search in database views, but in this case, we'll leave it as it is. And the next step that is required, and we have to tell DataSunrise what to do, is to select the security standards. So in my case, I'm going to choose this one, which is HIPAA, PCI DSS, maybe GDPR for the European Union. So just to make sure that we'll search at least some data in my database instance. And also, if we need to customize, just click the customize, and then you can select specific items and use them for your sensitive data discovery part of this process. Right. The frequency of the discovery is very important because it will create a task on the data discovery and periodic data discovery items. And there will be a new task to discover sensitive information for this Compliance Manager configuration. And also there is an option to select CSV or PDF database, the data format, right, or the report. Actually, it will be a report which can help us to see what's actually was detected as a sensitive information. Let's create a PDF. Okay, it will be more user friendly, right, and we'll see what will be there. I'm going to leave it as it is, right? You can select your own predefined time. You can run a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly, and so on. I would leave it as it is on daily basis. I'll try save and discover the sensitive information in my database instance. It can take some time. Now we see that DataSunrise has finished this data discovery process. We see that some of items are detected as sensitive ones. So some of them could be default positive. For example, in this example, ID is not the person ID. This is the ID of the column. Right? We can exclude it if necessary, right? Or we can skip masking in this case, right? So we can manage this process manually if necessary to avoid false positives, so-called, right? Now let's review other items detected by DataSunrise, right? We see that DataSunrise provides us with a default method to mask the data as identified or as sensitive information. Well, so we can review the rest of such items detected. So, for example, address line will be fixed string. This is like a default method. In this case, DataSunrise will just use like masked text or the value. And if the other data is detected like email, right, then DataSunrise will provide us with a default email masking method, and so on and so forth. So we can amend every single item which is considered as a sensitive item by DataSunrise, and we can amend it and choose our own masking policy to keep our data secure. And please bear in mind that this is just a pattern, because for some of users, we can include in specific database group or user groups and DataSunrise, and this information will be provided unmasked without any masking method DataSunrise can apply, and we can manage that. And DataSunrise provides us with a way to do that, to manage users and the user groups, provide some users the masked information or as it is, right? Let's review the next step. Right? Because we have selected the default methods and manually adjusted some of them, like ID will be skipped as a masking. Let's continue. This step, this is what I was talking about, that we need to split our user groups between different roles. DataSunrise requires from us that we should assign some users or user group actually to different roles. There's a self-explanatory information here that tell us that some of users will be like super admin administrators who are will be fully privileged users who will have all the privileges without any masking, security, and other rules applied in the policy. The admin then will be similar to the super admin role, but only select queries will be allowed without any modifications of the actual data in the database instance. The operator will allow only insert, update, delete, and select statements, right? No other queries or statements will be allowed to the operator role. And the tester will have only select statements, right? For sure, we can amend, right, different roles and provide some exceptions, but these are default policy. So I've created here database user groups, right, and included some users in these groups, like super admin group will be the super admin role. Means that all users from the database who are included in the super admins group will have no limitations, no dynamic masking, and no security blocking rules activated against this group of users. DB testers, okay, let's assign DB tester the tester's role, right, predefined role, and DB admins will be admin here. Database operators will have the operator's role, again, here. And customers users who are connected to the customer's database, so we are going to provide them some kind of admin, right, role, because this role will require from these users to update some data, right? So it means that they're going to, sorry, it's operator, yeah, there will be updating some information, but they will not be able to create users or roles and so on. And the customer's app user actually is the same as the operator. So I will assign it 2 groups to the operator role. Now let's continue. Now, since the compliance manager will require from us some efforts to adjust the reporting configuration. So again, we are going to create some reports based on our user activity, like regarding the activity of our users against some sensitive items. DataSunrise can generate for us a daily reports in this case, and this report can be delivered to the email box, to external recipients if necessary. So these are general configuration settings, right, to generate as a PDF. Now let's save it. It's ready, finally. But the actual output is located on the audit, security, masking, and reporting menu items. And let's review what the Compliance Manager generated for us as a default policy, which used our settings and parameters. Let's go to the rules on the audit. So we see here that there are CM, audit sensitive data, CM01, so on. So we can filter that with the PostgreSQL database instance. So these two items, the two audit rules created by DataSunrise. So, and also if we want to go to the security rules generated, and we can click to security and go to security rules. And here we see that several items are generated as a CM01 to block sensitive information for a specific database user group, or to allow for some super admin users all operations, right, related to the specific database instance. And in the masking subsection, we can find a dynamic masking rules. So for the same PostgreSQL database instance, we can see the Compliance Manager items generated. So we remember also that we have set already schedules to run sensitive data discovery and report generation process on a daily basis. So it means that we have to go, if we want to go to the data discovery, new item and periodic data discovery, there is a CM01. It's an item generated by the Compliance Manager for the purpose of the sensitive data discovery process. And the settings, right, like we already have set, right, to select top rows, as we remember that was in the Compliance Manager, and when we started to configure that as the Compliance Manager new item. And there are several security standards selected here to search for sensitive information and so on. So these are connected to the sensitive data discovery as a part of the Compliance Manager operations. Now, if you want to go and look at the reporting tool DataSunrise has, there are several items generated by the Compliance Manager to meet the requirements for these security standards. Like, for example, the audit, sensitive information report, and also report regarding access of sensitive information and security events, errors in sensitive information and system events. If someone tried to change or disable, enable different rules of the policies, also DataSunrise can help us to identify such events. Okay, so as we see with the Compliance Manager, we can generate default policy for our database instance by using different information types or security standards. We can customize them and generate so-called default policy for our database instance. Okay, this feature can help you quickly generate such security policy related audit, masking, security rules, and sensitive data discovery task and reports, which can help you greatly in achieving your goals to protect your database instance in connection to the security standards requirements. Thank you for watching.